and that's already been laid out for production. Now this one has a second harness built into it as well that gives us all of the sensors on these cars here that we're currently. Stuff is in position. Obviously air filter, Nerf bars. This car here did get finished up pretty good, but it will get into the accessories, and that's really why it's here, is to finalize up on all that stuff, from lights to meter lights to our kicker sound system. We've talked about that a few times. To light bars, obviously antennas, all of the stuff that we need to be able to get it so that it's a complete system when the customers get it. And every customer is just a little bit different. One thing throughout all the pre-orders of accessories, it's really identified what pieces and parts that we need to have built into the system right from the get-go. Sorry, I'm looking at a different phone. Max, you want to take this one and we'll switch it around, get Max to work my phone for me. Go ahead and shine that at me there. But we're running two phones here, one on Insta and one on Facebook Live. And then obviously we'll upload it to the YouTube channel. But all the customers that have ordered accessories, it's allowed us to understand what the accessories are that guys want and what we need to pre-wire, because it'd really be nice if you guys decide you want seat heaters, and we want to make sure that the cars are already pre-wired for seat heaters, because that's probably the longest process. It's not putting the seat heaters in the seat, it's running the harness and making sure you got the right fuses and that we have the right draw and the alternator has the right amps drawing from it, so that we can really stay connected. Max, you got something there? Or?
No, we're good.
Okay, cool.
Casey's calling him a meathead.
Okay, cool. Hey, Casey. Casey's back working at the shop here, but I do have all the engineers on the project currently over here, just making sure we dot our I's and cross our T's. And what I mean is these are the guys that work at speed. And then when you look at, we take our group and we mix it into either the engineers over here at James Lynn. I think there's 7 or 8 guys inside this facility here, and they give us their ideas so that we don't make mistakes with this harness. That, when we leave the key on and we're running accessories, we turn things off at the right time so that when you go to start this thing, it's not completely dead. So trying to build some systems in place for you guys, but it's not easy because there's so many different accessories available for a UTV that's not normally available for a standard vehicle. The UTV is different than a pickup truck or especially a sports car today. There's way more items that each one of you customers out there put your own little twist in it, and we're trying to make it just a little bit easier. So back here we've designated the right rear down bar as our terminating point, and on this build we will have a plug here that's a 4-plug trailer pin, and the trailer pin would either plug in here and go down to the trailer hitch, but if a customer chooses current light bars that we sell, it's already pre-wired, and this light bar, kind of hold it up, you guys want to switch places with me here, this light bar would be here, and this pre-lume would run down the harness and sit right there for us. Not only is the pre-lume now, we'll put the 4-pin so that if you want to run brake lights and maybe turn signals, if that's what you choose to do, into this light's capable of it, that would be this plug that would plug in here, and then that would follow this wire down, and instead of going to a 2-pin trailer plug, it would go to a 2-pin for the regular safety light, but it would go to a 4-pin if you wanted to activate your brake lights and other lighting options. So just trying to think of all this stuff so that later on, if you choose you want to do this, it's a fairly easy process. And like I said, this is accessory harness that we're focused on now, making sure that we get that all dialed in. Any questions out there? You guys seen something?
People are liking the shirt.
If you like the shirt, check it out. Fresh off the press, just got them in. They'll be up on the site next week, and that'll be another option. I know a bunch of guys have ordered them and have asked when's the merchandise coming. That is coming as well, but we've been focused more on the car side of it instead of the merchandise side. See if there's anything else. I mean, like I said, there's every light, every accessory, and from seat heaters. Seat heaters will be on one switch. I know I get this a lot, but there won't be 4 seat heater switches. There'll be one switch, and then every seat will have a toggle switch on the seat heater that you can turn that one off. So if you don't want to run, if you're in the car by yourself, you can reach over the seats and actually shut those off. Slow down a little bit.
Slow down.
All right, cool. Sorry. The seat heaters will have switches in the seats, but there'll be one power on, power off for all the seat heaters. That's all being done in this accessory loom as well. Rock lights are in this accessory loom. Radio intercom is in the accessory loom. Intercom wires are in the accessory loom. I know that someone asked me just the other day, if I buy a radio intercom system, does it come with headsets? The answer is no, it doesn't come with headsets, and it doesn't come with a helmet. That would be a plug that would be another extension that would either be on your helmet, or it'd be an extension from the dash to your helmet, or from your headset all the way to the dash. But when you order a radio intercom, it's radio intercom. It's not a radio intercom with headsets. Go ahead, Max, you got a question?
Yeah, what about running wires for a dome light in the center?
Dome light in the center. I'm glad you said that. So there will be a plug back here at the same right corner, and the same harness would run in parallel with this. It would it'll run up the right rear D post. It'll run up the D post here, and then it'll run into the loom. And that's something that Mike Nemec is actually working on right now, is the whole roof harness. And it's not just the harness for this, it's for, okay, I got it. Dome lights would come from the back side, where the headlights actually come from the front LED light would come from the left front A-post pillar, and it would run up that direction. So dome lights will come up the rear, and that would take you into the dome light, and the dome light is part of the rock light system.
And people were wondering, Parker pumpers?
Parker pumpers, obviously there will be an accessory plug for Parker pumpers. There will be one that will tie onto this bar. It would be down below here, so it would run from the center loom and up to this bar, and there'll also be a plug back here in the crossover loom that runs by the rear seatbelt bar, and there'll be another accessory there to be able to power up the Parker pumper.
And then people were wondering about accessory fuse blocks for if they want to add even extra stuff on.
So let's come up over here to the front, and under the front, on top of the glove box, there will be another like a fuse block power source that you would be able to run off of that to a separate accessory. So there will be a, I believe it was that a 7, or was that how many were in that remote fuse block accessory on the dash? Do you remember what that was?
There was an additional 10.
10?
It was a 10. It wasn't in the. It's not a dash. It's like an extension on top of. It was a 10 pin.
It's a 10. It's a 10 fuse. Little link bars. I think it was 7, but maybe 7 to 10. And it'll be here, and that is part of what will be wired as well. And I'll be able to give you the exact number when I have it sitting in my hand. But it has fuses, and basically it has power coming to it, so you can jump off of that. But you still have to switch from here. This just gave you your initial power to start the process.
And so that's for people who want to put on their own extra accessories. Now people were wondering, like, if they just keep it simple, like our 50-inch light bar, is that plug and play for them?
Plug and play. That will, 50-inch light bar is a great question, and that will come in this corner right here. So let me just use an example. This is where this process right now. I'm going to grab number 80 for now, but number 80 would get put on right here. This will happen probably tomorrow, but number 80 will be a 2-pin wire right here that would allow you to run your light bar to here, and the dash already has the cutout and the rocker switch for going to a high beam right here located at it. We did a lot of this stuff on the last vehicle that we did, and we'll continue to do that as well.
Basically, like this is like a number 4.
So here's an engineering drawing.
So basically, that number 4. This is just for doing the layout of where the plugs are going to go. But basically, you'd match that number 4, which is the light bar. And you could basically take item number 4 and put it over in that corner, because that's where the light bar is going to
Okay,
be.
perfect.
So
Yeah, so it's not just laying out a wiring harness. It's fully engineering a wiring harness for accessories. And when we go off and do this, we have to engineer it obviously for being able to do a lot of harnesses, not one harness. So James Lynn, like I said, we hired him as an engineer to help us with the project. That does not mean every single harness is being built at James Lynn's wiring facility. He is helping us with the engineering layout, wire thickness, wire sizes, and all kinds of other options. So just making sure that we really get our details right, so that when we do produce 5,000, 10,000 of these harnesses, one, they're done properly, and two, they're consistent and the same every single time. So it's not just coming and flinging wires. You know, a lot of people said, "Well, have you flung wires yet?" It's the fact that we need to put all of it into a documentation with an exact measurement and where it runs through the process. So it's pretty much CAD for wires that really lay out what the process is and make it so that we can mass produce something like this.
So I was wondering about the antenna wire for the race radio in particular.
All right, perfect. Let's walk back here to the back and show you some things that are here. And I'm not aware of many people doing this one. I'll climb up on the car here. But can I take Max? You want to climb up on that one? Go ahead and move that thing there and step up here and show us. Daniel will take your camera. But as a production chassis, we have corner gussets that are in the tubes, but then we have antenna and whip. An opportunity for 5 whip or antennas across the back of the roll cage. These are pre-welded on. We left enough distance, so if you got to drill the hole out bigger for an antenna wire, or it's a whip light, or it's a regular antenna, give you some options. They're already prefabricated and laying in the car for you, as well as corner gussets for the roof, which work as corner gussets, roof rack. These are already pre-built into the roof, and these will be part of the production process as well. So that answer is yes. It's already done for you.
And then the routing of the wire is along that center tube and separate from any other wires to avoid any interference.
Let's talk about that real quick, because this is something that even all the years of motorsport, something I didn't know, and I did it a couple years ago, is I came out of the radio, had extra wire. When you order antenna cable for an El Jefe from us, from Speed UTV, you'll get it the right length. But you don't want to take an El Jefe and put it on a Bandit when you know you have 24-inch more length and put a loop in it. As soon as you put a loop in it and you do a nice little clean zip tie like I did personally, that actually hurts your antenna reception. So as Daniel said, we will make sure it's routed and pre-sized, and we'll show you an installation video of a radio if you decide you're going to do it yourself, how to do this the proper way so you get the best reception out of your rugged or PCI radio that you purchase through Speed UTV. Want to kind of just bounce through the presentation real quick, and
Sure.
I'll flick through it. Tonight it's when we get off site like we are now, when we're at tests and when we're at other facilities that aren't ours, it's harder to do these presentations. Fortunate enough that James does have a big screen here. And, oh, do I go all the way?
No, there's the next one. You can click the arrows there if you want.
Up and down?
Side to side.
Is that it there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I've been fortunate enough over the years to work with James back from the Dakar Hummer days, Indycar, NASCAR. I think we've been working together for close to 20 years. And obviously he was a secret weapon I had for a long time, but all the off-road industry got in contact as I went NASCAR racing. He obviously grew his business, and he is, in my mind, one of the leaders in hardcore trophy truck off-road racing. Very hard to get an appointment with James because he is so busy, and I had to beg, borrow, and steal to be able to get him to agree to take on this project with us, because this is such a different project than normal. Where normally it's a pre-run or a trophy truck, or he does, I believe he does most of the Mason trophy trucks. So they built 11 trucks over the last year. This is something where we're pre-sold over 10,000 vehicles, and we have to really look at full manufacturing wire harnesses. And I convinced him to take this project and help me, because obviously this was something I felt was very important. Felt that we had to do a good job with it and make sure that we dotted our I's and crossed our T's. And I believe in the mechanical engineering side of it, engines, gearbox. If you look at what we've done, we've tried to associate with the best in the business across the board with this build. And we could increase our internal engineering staff, but sometimes you're better off outsourcing like we did here. So we've outsourced with wiring harnesses, we've outsourced with gearbox, and then obviously I've been fortunate enough to hire some of the best guys in chassis, shock, suspension, part of this build, as well as the body guys, or even to the body, original body design. We outsourced that, sat with them, kind of gave them my vision of what I wanted to see, and went through it. So James is our harness guy. We're out west now. This car will be out here for a few weeks, and it's going to probably be here longer than I originally anticipated, based on the amount of work. It sounds really easy. Oh, just run a harness here, run this, run that. With all the requests we've had from customers, we really are trying to think of everything so that people can upgrade, accessorize their vehicle as they choose. Rock lights, dome lights. Yes, we will have rock lights and dome lights for it. We've got a 4-channel rock light that will be pre-wired. The rock lights will be basically plug and play, but the leads on them will be right to the harness. Tailgate, I think we talked about tailgates. This car here has a 48 by 35 inch deep bed, has an operating tailgate. It will be able to sit on it. You will be able to fold it down if you're at Oldsmobile or hanging out. You can fold it down and actually hang out in the back of the vehicle. Hopefully we can have some good tailgate parties this year at Glamis.
Can you attach a snowplow?
Attach a snowplow?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't believe this is the vehicle that you really want to have a snowplow with, but you might. It will have 4-wheel drive lock. It will have it has some. I'm looking at the front of it. You could probably attach some structures to the front of it, and they put a front bumper on them.
You got the bed for your sand hopper already. You're halfway there.
Yeah, for the sand hopper on the snowplow.
Yeah.
But I don't know if this is the right vehicle for a snowplow operation. But then I've seen crazier things before, so why not? I'm sure there's plenty talented people out there. Let's go around and look over here at something. And so the answer to the snowplow is, this is where we plug our front bumper in. So the whole front bumper plugs into this assembly here. This is something very similar to what a lot of off-road guys do. This would be the outside tube. We'd slip another tube inside of it. And this would be the female. And then we would clip the front clip in it. Obviously, you could build some structure between these points here and here and figure out some kind of apparatus. But that would be something that I believe we're going to let the slow power experts figure that out. It does have hydraulic power steering pump. So if you wanted to run a hydraulic, you could probably tap into the hydraulic power steering pump side of it. All right, is that it?
There's maybe a couple more just pictures that some maybe seen already.
Yeah, obviously the body stripped back off it right now. Firewalls are in it. There's a bunch of pieces that are on this car, and just working our way through the process. Questions? Let's take a couple minutes for some quick questions, and I'll go back over by the car, and you guys can ask me a few more what we're doing, how we're doing it.
Yeah.
Fortunately, tonight's show, like I said, flick a picture over to Mike working over there. Mike's working over there. Why don't you show them all of our stuff here, Max? This is a lot of the connectors, part numbers, different harness pieces that we have to deal with, and incorporate them all in. Obviously not the Motec, but this stuff here. All right. And Mike's working on updating for our meeting earlier today and readjusting measuring points.
People wanted to see the Corvette.
Beautiful Corvette. He's got some great stuff here. I mean, James honestly is probably one of the best in the business, like I said, that I've ever worked with. When it's done, it's right, it's clean, it's functional, and not only is he good at wiring, he's excellent at engine tuning, engine calibration, boost, all the stuff. I mean, when we were dynoing the engine over at Joey's, James was in California and he was doing it all via online.
Yeah, he was going through the McDonald's drive-thru on our first 300 horsepower pull.
Watching it on his phone.
Yeah, no, he's on his laptop.
On his laptop, going through the McDonald's drive-thru. So, this. He's really, really, really good at what he does, and like I said, fortunate enough to have him on the project. Let's walk over next to the car again.
Okay, yeah. So give us your questions in the comments, and we'll read them out.
Yeah, Max, I want to take 2 questions from Insta, and we'll take 2 from Facebook Live.
All right, recently question.
Yep.
Any good ones?
Any good questions?
Not good questions.
Any bad questions?
After we said that snowplow thing, people were asking if you're going to attach a minigun, flamethrower, stuff like that.
Well, I mean, what do you want to attach to it, Max? Front bumper?
Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks he can break any front bumper off.
I'm sure some guys saw at Parker, the front bumper was literally smashed off the front of our car. So hopefully this one here will be a little more robust, tied into the chassis like it is. Any questions, Max?
Is that bulkhead a factory part?
Is this bulkhead a factory part? Kind of, not really. Factory in measurement, tolerance, gears, power steering rack, webbing, bolt location, sway bar mounts, dog bones. This is a fully machined front bulkhead, and the production front bulkhead is high pressure casting, no different than what our wheels are or something like that. Heat treated 6061 T6, and it will have inserts like this one has. So the answer is basically a front bulkhead. This is just a fully machined one. We've showed production parts recently in a couple of the presentations. About 4 or 5 presentations ago, we showed some production front diffs. Last week we showed production engine stuff up close.
Oh, I got a question. This isn't the production body because they're wondering if you have to take the whole front body off to get under the hood.
No, the front hood is exactly A side. So people that do CAD would understand what that means, or do engineering components, but this is A side body. So A side means the outside surface, the shapes, the angles, everything exact. Front hood comes apart in 3 sections.
Yeah, so
Three
your main,
sections.
you got your main hood and then right and left fenders.
So you got a main hood that, so getting into the center, you'll be able to get in the center and open it up. But it's a big hood. We put a really big hood on this time because that gives us more access to getting down into either the wiring or to the front end area. And then we've got the 2 fenders on the outsides.
Someone
asked if the engine's turbo or not.
Yes, the engine is turbo, and I saw a smile on Max's face, but this isn't. This is a turbocharged 2-cylinder 999cc. Same thing with the turbo. Let's talk about turbos a little bit. When we decided to go off and build an engine, we wanted to team up with the best guys we could. Obviously, we used Joey Arrington, Tony Cola, Craig Campton, a bunch of guys from Hypersports, and really took ideas. Greg Biffle, a bunch of guys helped us with what we wanted to try to achieve with an engine. So it's a 2-cylinder 999cc turbocharged. Ken from Push Turbo, same thing like with James Lynn, where we teamed up with James on the wiring. We teamed up with Ken over at Push Turbo, and he helped us engineer a turbo system that will help us with turbo lag. Same thing we've done with Dave and Alan over at Tap Clutch. When we wanted to get into CBTs and we wanted to have the best parts, we went out and worked a deal with those guys to be able to engineer mass production components for the Speed UTV.
Another one on the topic of power. Someone said, do you have to drain your tank if you're switching between E85 and 91?
Okay, hopefully you guys can hear that. Do we have to drain tank between E85 and then 91? That answer is no. It has a flex fuel sensor in it that measures the percentage, and it will adjust power accordingly based on engine performance, engine knock, etc. So you do not have to drain your fuel. If you want the best performance and you want to go straight over and go straight to the maximum performance, if you got a speed key and you want to run E85, then that answer is yes, you could pump out, you could pump in, but you don't have to. You could gradually work your way to 100 or 85% E85. Go ahead, Mike.
You just got your car in Havasu and you're all stoked, and you obviously you don't recommend breaking the engine in, but you live in Lake Havasu and you want to get E85. Are you going to be selling E85 at your dealership?
Yes, we will have. That's a great question, and we are fortunate. So Lake Havasu, I know Coin Power Sports, people that sell VP race products would have E85 in a can, and we will have E85 in Lake Havasu from VP. So if you want the VP E85, the answer is yes, we would have it at our dealership in Lake Havasu. And I know that Coin Power Sports, I believe they're on a VP program down there as well, and we would have that as well.
Right, a couple questions now about...
Wait, are you ready to come in and get on the show with me? Huh? Ghosty, are you ready? No. No? All right. James guys did not want to go on with me today. They said they like to work in ghost mode instead. These guys are very, very busy, and anybody that's talked to James before, he's a little difficult to understand, but let me tell you, this guy is bright as can be.
So a couple questions. People are wondering about wiring for backup cameras, belt temp sensors, and USB inputs. And basically I can say that the dash is good.
Yes, and yes. Yeah. And the wiring, as we go into our accessories, we will focus on those items as well. So I know for sure that there's USBs in the dash. Yep. I believe there's 2 in the front and 2 in the back on the 4-seater.
Yeah, and so those are for power charging.
Those are for power.
And if you get the kicker unit, it also has a USB input for playing music through your kicker.
So you would have up to 5 USBs if you had the kicker unit in a 4-seater.
And then Dash has 2 camera inputs.
Dash has 2 camera inputs, and we are working on the wires towards the front and towards the back.
And then belt temp.
Belt temp is something we're also addressing while we're here as well. So yes, 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 and yes.
And then one more is that fuel lines are ready to go for E85.
Yes, the fuel lines are E85 ready. We know that ahead of time, and we do have fuel lines that are good for 85.
Yeah, and the tank and the whole emission system
whole
had to go
system.
through the soaking and
Yeah.
all that.
Had to soak with the 85, had to do all the stuff with the 85, so that answer is yes, and we have been doing this for a very long time.
Sit in the car.
Sit in the car. All right. All right. That's going to be a sign off for tonight's show. Thank you very much for tuning in. I know it's a shorter show than normal. We don't have a telephone here to take calls. We did it through messages. Like I said, thanks for tuning in, and we'll keep you updated next week of the progress of where we're at and where we're headed.